Welcome back to the podcast that must not be named. I am Luke.
Melissa here.
And we are still doing Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. We're doing chapter 12 this time, the Polyjuice Potion. This chapter is 22 pages, and that is 6.45% of this book. Melissa, what happened this chapter?
Harry entered Dumbledore's office, amazed at the portraits of sleeping headmasters and mistresses and at seeing the sorting hat sitting on a shelf. Harry, left alone, sneaks another attempt at trying on the hat. The hat attempted to discuss Harry's possibility of being in Slytherin, but Harry freaks out and takes off the hat before he can hear any more. Harry turned and sees a decrepit bird, who burst into flame. Dumbledore entered and explained that Fawkes, the incinerated bird, is a phoenix. Before Dumbledore and Harry can talk about why Harry got sent there, Hagrid flew in, defending Harry. Dumbledore claims he knew Harry wasn't attacking people, but still asked if Harry had anything to tell him. Harry lied, thinking of the voices, and said no. Christmas break came, and the castle was mostly empty. On Christmas morning, Hermione joined the boys in their room, declaring that the potion was ready to add bits of Crabbe and Goyle and Millicent Bulstrode. She also had a plan for knocking out the actual people while they were being impersonated. Harry and Ron had the boys pass out after eating some potioned cupcakes, and Hermione joined Hermione in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. People parts added, they drank their Polyjuice potions and suffered through the painful transformation. However, Hermione refused to come out of her stall, so the boys trekked alone, as Crabbe and Goyle, to find the Slytherin common room. After running into some random female prefect and Percy Weasley, they find Malfoy, who leads them to their common room. Malfoy gloated over an article stating that Mr. Weasley was fined 50 galleons for the flying car. As they discussed the Chamber of Secrets, the boys discovered that Malfoy knew nothing about who was doing it, much to Ron's dismay. Malfoy did inform them that someone died the last time the chamber was opened, and that someone was expelled and possibly thrown into Azkaban, the wizard prison. Malfoy let slip the secret chamber under his family's drawing room floor, and as Ron shouts out in surprise, his face starts to change back. He and Harry ran for it, claiming to need the infirmary for their stomach aches. Returning to the bathroom, the boys discovered why Hermione didn't join them. She accidentally used cat hair and was covered in fur and had yellow eyes, cat ears, and a tail.
Okay, so let's get into the character introductions this chapter. I think there was only just one. Fawkes the Phoenix, I think, was the only new character that we had this chapter.
And then he died.
Yeah,
And then he
died immediately.
Yeah,
probably the quickest
right?
on-screen death that we've had. We had a couple of new locations. We had a mention of Azkaban, the wizard prison, and we've also now visited Dumby's office.
Yay!
So,
That place is
into
awesome.
the headmaster's chamber. Some magicabulary. Melissa, what'd you find this chapter?
So we have Phoenix Burning Day,
Yay!
or Reincarnation Day.
Yeah, I guess it's both, right?
True.
Instantly, every time.
Exploding Snap, the game. The book Flying with the Cannons. We found out that Hogwarts has school governors, which I didn't know before.
No, it definitely was not mentioned yet.
And a sleeping draft. Have we heard of that before?
I don't think so.
Sleeping draft? I couldn't
I will
remember.
go ahead and double check real quick.
Thank you. You're
Kindle
better at that than
search.
me.
Well, I have the tool to do it.
You do.
It's not
This
that
is
I'm
fine.
better. I just have the tool.
You have the technology.
Sleeping.
Your technology is better.
So the first time sleeping draft is mentioned is in chapter 12. Hold on. Let me double check. The first time sleeping draft specifically is chapter 12 of Chamber of Secrets.
That's what we're talking about.
Yep.
Hey, look at that.
I'm going to double check that sleeping solution because that sounds familiar as well. See if that is into before. I don't think we've included it if it was.
In which case, we apologize for our misstep.
Which I don't think we did. And maybe sleeping solution was never mentioned.
Excellent. You might think of the swelling solution.
Yeah, and
That
that's
was
definitely possible.
Yes.
So it looks like we are correct. First
As
time we've
per
heard of
usual.
a sleeping draft. And the next time is in Goblet of Fire.
Excellent.
That's the next
We have a
one.
while. So we have an illustration.
Was that all the magicabulary we had?
Really all the magicabulary.
Okay.
All right. So we have an illustration, and it's an ugly dude with big bushy eyebrows staring in a mirror, with glasses sitting on a shelf in front of him.
Ugh. Yuck.
Right.
He
He feels like shocked at looking at himself.
feel like he's had better days.
True.
Okay. Well, let's start getting into our notes this chapter.
Okay.
Kick us off there, Melissa.
So, when Harry visits Dumbledore's office, kind of the first thing he does is put on the hat.
Mm-hmm.
And the hat says, "You would have done well," meaning like you would have done well in Slytherin. He doesn't say you should be in Slytherin, just you would have done well. What are your thoughts on that? Like,
I think Harry really kind of has a predisposition about what he feels. You know, like he already has a lot of thought built into the loaded question he gave the Sorting Hat. And so the way that the Sorting Hat answers it, Harry runs down this other completely different path of what the Sorting Hat intended.
that's what I think.
I think,
I
mean, he's got... I think Harry has some qualities or traits or whatever, but he probably has qualities and traits of every house. And because he is naturally talented in a lot of things, he was going to do well in any house.
Yes.
I mean, really, that's what I think. And it's just Harry is so... Because he specifically, told the Sorting Hat when he was being sorted first year, anything but Slytherin. Just not... He never asked for Gryffindor. He didn't ask for any of them. He just said, not Slytherin.
And
So-
he brought up not Slytherin, not the hat.
Right.
He's the one saying Slytherin. So, of course, I feel like the hat, and I think that was my point, the hat has to respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
The hat has to be like, oh, not Slytherin? Okay, well, let me address this, regardless of whether that was my decision or not.
Right.
And Harry, I think, is doing what happens a lot. An adult will say something sort of abstract in that whole, oh, not Slytherin? Well, okay, you'd be fine there. Or, oh, yes, well, you would have done well there, but like
that's not necessarily what it's going to do.
And the
anyway.
kid takes that as a concrete, like, oh, he's saying I need this.
Mhm.
That interpretation piece is. And so, like, as adults, we have to be very careful about how we phrase things to kids. It is sometimes better to be short, sweet, matter of fact, and to the point, because they'll grasp that a little better than doing the, metaphysical.
Or more wordy and ultra clear. Like, either way, just don't leave it so open to interpretation.
But take a look at what Harry's doing. Every time the hat starts talking, he runs away. So the hat does not have time to use all those words.
Sure.
Short and sweet, man. Because
You
Harry's not
gotta
listening.
hook him in.
Yep.
You don't start with the...
No.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my first thought. My next thought is so when everybody thinks that Harry is the heir of Slytherin, Fred and George escorting him down the halls. Look out for the heir of Slytherin. Make way for the heir of Slytherin. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that scene. That really is.
That's one of my favorites in this chapter. It's
such a good Weasley twin moment.
Because not only are they basically saying, y'all are stupid, but they're also taking advantage of it. Like, fine, if you're going to think this, we are going to play it up.
Yeah.
And just to mess with all of you. And then a third thing that I don't think the kids get, but I think Fred and George do, but that I don't think Harry and Ron and all them appreciate, is that they're like, well, if they're going to do this, we need to protect Harry. They're right at Harry's side.
Right. Yeah. Flanking him, basically.
Right. We don't see the Weasley twins walking him to class or around him that much any other time. But this, they like close ranks and are like, nope, he's our guy. We're going to protect him. And this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do it with jokes and making fun of people and teasing them. And
right. So that Harry doesn't even realize it because.
Right.
Yeah. Because they know that Harry is not going to feel protected.
Right.
He's very much, I can do it on my own.
Right.
And they definitely understand that. So this is a very, very good way of them doing what they believe they need to do for him.
I really
without
think
him being upset by it.
I really think you're starting to convince me that it's quite possible that the Weasley twins are the best, most underrated characters in the entire series. Like, if it weren't for them, I mean, good things would have happened, but I think our main three are stronger for having them. And I just always saw them as just, fun peripheral characters. And
there's a lot more to them.
They're a very integral part of what's going on.
This is a very good description of kind of what I've been getting at. It's very under the radar, the things that they do a lot of the time like this. They escort him when he needs it, but he won't accept it if they were going to offer it. And they just do it.
So I've already asked for the version of the 7 books off of Dudley. I've done one more. Is it Draco's version? Or Hermione's version? One of the two. Somebody like that. I feel like I need a third. I need like Fred and George and our years at Hogwarts. Or Fred and George dealing with my little brother's best friend. Or Fred and George and our adopted little brother. need to read it from their point of view. That's all.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yep.
I'm in.
All right. My last note, some rewriter tends to have less notes. My last note is at Christmas, Hedwig starts talking to Harry again. It took her until Christmas to forgive him for what happened
Pretty spiteful,
with the Whomping Willow. Like, that's pretty rough, man. I'm shocked at, first of all,
the pettiness of owls.
Well, no, see, I was going to go somewhere else. I was going to go with the intelligence of owls to be able to hold a grudge for that long. Yeah. Which goes along with how smart they are for delivering owl post.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
See?
Yeah.
Owls are smart.
Owls are very smart.
And apparently vindictive.
Yeah, quite.
And a little stubborn.
Yeah.
I can relate.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So can you. Trust me, I know. All right, what do you got over there?
So, back on to Fawkes the Phoenix. I think phoenixes are definitely pretty interesting.
Yes.
Pretty powerful, for sure. I mean... can carry really heavy loads. They have tears of magical powers. I mean, they are infinitely alive. Like, they can't die.
So I'm not an animal person, but I feel like I could get behind having a phoenix pet.
Mm-hmm. Why is that? Just for...
Oh, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea that, if my kid breaks their arm, they can just cry on it and... be healed or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder.
I fell down and scratched my leg. Come here.
I wonder where that, how far that works. If it's a broken bone, do the tears have to get to the bone to mend
that's a
it?
good point. I mean,
or is it like an open wound? I could clearly see that. It'll heal the
Right.
wound on top of it.
Right.
If you're sick, can they cry into your mouth and make you feel better? Like medicine?
Oh, that'd be pretty cool. That would save on sick days.
You know what I mean? That's...
I'm a big fan of this.
So I don't know. I'm not a doctor or anything,
think
but...
about it.
a magical doctor.
And then it's hereditary. So, because the phoenix never dies.
Right.
So just passed down generation.
How is there not
generation.
hundreds of millions of phoenixes then? They never die. That's the fallacy of immortals that can still have kids. It's how is there not just an insane amount of them? If that carries along with it. If the immortal
completely
gene,
different books. Oh, I see what you're saying.
If the immortal gene passes.
Well,
and I know that's completely unrelated here, but
it is completely unrelated. But I have a book series that answers this question, and it's the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan, or however you say his last name. Because the immortals do reproduce a lot, but their children being half human are not immortal,
right?
Unless they're granted the thing. So at least that.
Well, yeah, that's if you're half though. I'm saying if you have two immortal parents.
Yeah, but it's very rare that they have kids together.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Why? I mean,
because they don't get along.
That's fine. Because
it's more fun to go fall in love over and over again than to be with the same person for millennia.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, speaking as somebody who's been with the same, I've been married for 15 years and with the same guy for 20. I love him to pieces, but millions of years? That's my only point. I could see millions of years. Maybe a little bored. Maybe. Some might be fine. Hera, for example. Queen Hera, Zeus's wife.
What about her?
She's
terrible.
Has never had any extramarital affairs. She stayed with Zeus the whole time. I mean, granted, she's evil and deplorable, but still,
it's a circle. It goes.
Hestia, same thing. Just saying, it's possible.
Yeah,
not likely. Possible.
Phoenixes, on the other hand, apparently don't have kids all that often.
Maybe there's not I don't know.
Well, they are very stingy with their feathers that we've talked about.
Right.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe there's a Highlander thing. There could only be one. There could only be one Phoenix.
Or the Vampire Slayer.
Right.
There's only one Buffy.
Yeah. So my next note.
That's a tangent. Okay.
My next note. Fred and George are great. They just are. I know we've already talked about this that whole scene, but they're just the best.
They are the best.
And my next note, because we'll skip past that because we already talked about it. Why is Malfoy staying at school? It seems like he's always real excited to go home and just be king of the castle at home. Why do you think he's staying?
Because his parents make him? I mean, we saw Lucius at the beginning of the book. He kind of doesn't play into the Draco gets whatever he wants. I assume Mom does.
I think Mom does.
But I think this is... And I think Lucius will give Draco a lot, 7 freaking expensive brooms or whatever. But I think also there's that sense of...
It's not always for Draco's...
What?
It's not always for Draco's want that he gives
Yes. And that's where I'm going with this. So Lucius will play into it as long as it looks good for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks good to have my son at Hogwarts.
And on the Quidditch team.
And that is the expectation. And that is what the family will do. And that is how you show the family honor. And
why does it look good to have him at Hogwarts over Christmas?
Over Christmas?
I thought
Oh, you were not specific about that part. Yeah, missed that.
No, sorry.
Saying it's
yeah,
good for Christmas.
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean he's
traveling.
staying there at Christmas.
Maybe they're traveling.
I apologize. I wasn't clear on my note, but that's what I was getting at. Why was he staying over Christmas?
Staying over Christmas break? Parents are traveling.
And
they're off to Majorca or something.
Wouldn't bring him with them?
Would you? It's Draco. He's a little annoying.
I mean, I get that.
Yeah,
it's not my kid, but I just thought that was interesting. And then quickly, Crabbe and Goyle stay because Draco's staying. Like, come on, guys.
That's fine.
So
have an independent thought.
Along with the Fred and George being great, along with that, we again see the fickle student body of Hogwarts, how quickly they change allegiances, or
yes,
they quickly herd mentality, mob mentality,
jump right on.
Oh, well, Harry's got to be the heir. He's a Parselmouth. We all saw it, and well, clearly you didn't see what really happened. Nobody saw this.
Right.
Somehow they were all looking at it, but no one saw it.
Right.
Distinction.
Well, and he's the one who found Justin and Nick.
Right. Yeah.
Too, on top of...
And the cat. And the Parselmouth. I mean, it's...
Well, kind of
I mean, I get it, but Fred and George and Ron and Hermione are the only ones that aren't buying into it. I guess other Gryffindors aren't really buying into it either.
Maybe.
Because we see them hanging out with Dean and
True.
And Seamus and Neville and stuff. So
maybe it's the people who don't know him personally are just, it's really easy to point fingers at people you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
You're oh, it's that kid. Oh, that kid. Oh, I've heard about that kid.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
He's
that
a weirdo
more than anything else.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
Okay.
So the Dursleys have, gave another gift for Christmas, a toothpick and a note on whether or not Harry could stay there for the summer holidays.
Notice how, that's never answered.
How do you think the Dursleys get their mail to Hogwarts?
I have no idea. I'm surprised they even bother at all, to be honest with you.
I know, but I mean, because you got something from them last year,
yes.
right? A 50 pence piece or
yes.
something. And how do they actually send things to Hogwarts? They have to have some other correspondence with the school in order to figure out you have
you would
knowledge of
assume
how to do that.
Same for Hermione,
right?
Or really,
but,
in general, all the Muggleborns,
right? And I get that. But a lot of them are probably a lot more accepting of it or kind of go out of their way to figure out how to do that. I'm saying the Dursleys specifically, they would not want to know.
True.
But how do they figure it out?
Well, I assume, and I could be wrong, but one would assume that at some point there is some sort of report being sent.
Right. There has to be some other correspondence between them and the school.
And maybe maybe they just mail it off and there's
some oversight at the normal.
Yes, I was going to say a hidden wizard.
Yeah, kind of like what you were getting at with the hospital thing.
Yes.
They take him to a normal hospital and then it just kind of gets picked up by some wizarding authority and they're let's divert you.
That's kind of my thinking on that.
And that's probably more.
Yes.
What it is.
That's about as close as I get. Okay.
So this next scene has to do with the cupcakes with the sleeping draft in it. And even before this happens, I think Ron or Harry is have you ever seen a plan that had so many things that could go wrong? And it's a very, very good point because that whole cupcakes thing went a little too well, I think. What do you think? It's a little too easy.
I agree. It's way too easy.
And I'm not saying there's anything hidden behind it.
No.
Surprisingly.
Right. They stuff some chocolate cakes on top of the banister at the stairs, which the Slytherins don't use the stairs going up because maybe they did it on banisters going down.
I think it was, yeah.
Still, and they just pick them up and eat them, pass out. They drag them to a closet.
Grab their shoes.
No one else sees them doing this at all. How? They left the Great Hall. You're telling me there's not one single teacher or another student? I mean, I get it's Crabbe and Goyle and they were eating the whole time. And if they were eating the whole time, they come out and eat more? There really are very few ways this could work.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it does.
Yeah.
And they randomly take their shoes, because they knew about that.
I thought that was a really, really smart play because we're going to need the shoes because they're gigantic feet. They're going to destroy our shoes. I thought that was actually one of the first smartest things that the two boys have done.
I think that's why it shocked me so much.
I know,
I'm like, wait, how'd you think of this?
It's very actually forward think. Like it's very thoughtful.
It's a very logical, like, hey, you know
and
what we're going to need.
Maybe we didn't see the conversation of Hermione being like, get their shoes. You're going to need them. But
can I just in my brain assume that it was Hermione saying that? I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it was probably the boys.
I'm giving the boys credit this time.
Okay.
It's just smart.
It is very smart.
So we also learn a little more about the actual Polyjuice Potion, and the potion's only good for exactly 1 hour.
Yeah.
Does that depend on how much you drink? Is there like a very specific dosage that you have to drink for it to work, and you can't drink more than that? It doesn't, it doesn't, like, could you just like take a double portion of the potion and go for 2 hours? Or does it just not work like that? Like it's just,
or if it's like a time release, like it doesn't matter how much you drink, you get an hour.
Right.
And so if I were to take a double dose, I would still only get an hour. So
that's
I might as well just take...
You have to take a certain amount for it to actually work at all. And then regardless of whatever you drink from there.
And then or can you take like sips later? Like
right, yeah. I mean, could you every 10 minutes take a little sip?
Right. So or even like 45 minutes so that, you've got an hour. I'm going to take my booster.
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't either. It's very weird because I don't quite understand the process behind it. Like I get you change into somebody else, you have a piece of their DNA in the thing, but why is it exactly an hour? Like why is it so specific?
I don't know.
It's very strange.
I find that the hour thing to be the weird side of it. I mean, clearly the rest of it's just magic, and you could rationalize through whatever you want on that, but it works.
But again, you're right. Like, is there a dosage? Is there a certain amount? Is there they made a whole vat full of it.
And they took 3 little cups out of it.
Do they have more? Who knows?
So I also thought the description of the potion was really disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
And I like how it changed for each person when they added the DNA or the, the portion of the person. I thought that was pretty interesting. After they take the potion, we have the first speaking by the bodies of Crabbe and Goyle. Not actually by them, but the first time they've spoken. It's the first time we've heard their voices.
Yes.
Well, we've read about hearing their voices.
True. You can't really hear reading books.
I mean, I do all the time. Audiobooks, every time. But, yes.
I do think it's interesting that the only time we hear Crabbe and Goyle speak, it's not really Crabbe and Goyle.
I know, yeah. And absolutely, it's like, do they not have anything to say ever?
No.
We'll see.
Not ever.
They probably should have gotten the location of the common room first. And that goes right along with, that you only have an hour. Specifically, apparently, non-adjustable 1 hour.
Right. And that was probably in there. They knew that, or at least had an idea. But
or maybe do it twice.
And all the things that Hermione planned ahead, you couldn't think about that.
A little bit of reconnaissance at all. Now. What they should have done is try to do this twice. Spend an hour just trying to get access to the common room.
And just been somebody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe not even Crabbe and Goyle.
Right.
But
just to figure out how to get there. And then later on, do this and just go straight there.
Things I've noticed about Harry, Ron, and Hermione. They make plans a lot, but their plans don't typically cover the things they could have and should have planned for. Like this one, they planned all about how to turn into them, but not to do once they were.
Mm-hmm. They definitely have the plan to improvise mentality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We make a plan, get ourselves in a position, and then figure it out.
I think that's what they do. They plan to get in position.
Right.
And then after that,
which is
figure it out as we go.
A good way to design a hero. It really is, because then they're able to be creative on the spot and not just, oh, well, that plan worked, that plan worked, that plan worked. It forces you to be creative in the moment.
And this is why I will never be a Gryffindor.
This is why that's kind of what I do. I get myself set up to make things easy. When I get there, I can be really flexible though. That's how my mind works.
No, I like things to go a certain way. I have a plan.
Yeah.
I don't plan to get to the plan. I have a plan.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely more like these three.
Yeah. So is Abby.
Yeah. Yeah. So also when we are following Crabbe and Goyle as Harry, Ron and Harry, we run into perfect prefect Percy, and he kind of goes on saying, "I'm a prefect. Nothing is about to attack me." Do you think he really is thinking the prefect, or is he also aware that he's a pureblood and just not mentioning that?
Oh, I think he thinks he's a pureblood.
Well, I mean, he
I do think that he's just pompous enough to have that sort of idea.
Without vocalizing
But he's a
it.
Weasley.
Yeah.
So he's been taught that I'm not supposed to say that. Whereas, like, I really think, like, Ron and Arthur and George and Fred, like, they truly don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Percy's been taught you're not supposed to care.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah. Like, I care, but I know I'm not supposed to. So I don't. Because I was taught not to.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I really do.
But
So
I
I'm
also,
not gonna tell you.
I do think that he's also thinking that prefects would be just safe, you know. But at the same time, I think he's logical
so.
enough to know that it really is the blood status
Yeah.
that is really protecting him.
I don't really think it's a prefix thing. What, they got some guy going around going, oh, wait,
Ooh, he's got a
you
prefect
have
badge.
rank. I'm
Yeah.
not going to hurt you. No, nobody cares. You're the only one who cares, Percy.
Yeah. Speaking of Percy, do you think Draco is right about Percy sneaking around?
I don't know, but he's really been annoying. Yelling at them about being in a girl's bathroom, yelling at Crabbe and Goyle, but really Ron and Hermione about wandering at night. Like, what's he doing out?
Yeah, I mean,
What's his point?
So, I mean, Draco's basically calling on. He thinks that he's going to be the one that catches the monster.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think Draco's right about that? Do you think that Percy thinks that he's going to catch the monster?
Percy is just, what's the word I'm looking for? He is just like self-serving enough to want to be in a position to do something like that. So maybe.
Yeah, pretty good pickup by Draco. I mean, I don't think we've seen too much interaction.
It takes one to know one.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it is. I understand your motives because I get it. Complete opposite intentions here, but I get it.
Yep.
So after we get away from Percy, this is the first time we've seen another house's common room.
Yeah, it's very different.
It's very different.
I like that.
It's like very
always
low
enjoy
light and like cold stone and a big
fancy
warm fire.
chairs.
Yeah, like it's definitely different. Anything else stand out to you about the Slytherin common room?
I would feel very claustrophobic in there because it is so like low and dark and stone, and I don't do well in like underground places. Like, you know, we live in Missouri, there's a lot of caves. I like going to them a little bit and then I'm like, okay, I have to get out. There's only one exit. I can't get out of the, like, I need space and room to breathe and windows and light. Slytherin would not be a good place for me to like go relax.
Mm-hmm.
That was like my overall feeling.
Yeah, I get the feeling it's like kind of like a den, which is very underground.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see it.
Okay.
So maybe Crabbe and Goyle are kind of always really slow on the uptake. Like they're talking to Draco about, you know, if he's the heir of Slytherin, and he's like, of course not. And like then he makes a couple other jokes before that about, you know, being pure blood and all these things, and about the Weasleys, and like the delay on their responses is always like very, very noticeable. But Draco just like shrugs it off pretty easily. So maybe they're just always slow, like regardless on a funny joke or not.
Maybe.
Yeah. And then we're rounded out by finding that that was not Millicent Bulstrode's hair. Whoops. Kitty cat hair.
Yikes. Poor Hermione.
Yeah. That's
pretty rough.
I don't think that was part of the design of the potion.
No, not at all. That's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, that stinks. So that's all I've got. Let's get into your 5 burning questions.
All right. So my first question kind of ties right into one of your points, and it was, how accurate are Ron and Harry's impersonations of Crabbe and Goyle?
Well, not very, because they talk as them. So,
okay.
I mean, definitely against the Crabbe and Goyle rules there.
Right.
But other than that, it seems like they slope along well enough. They're slow enough. And okay. I think we kind of just talked on that, but like they're not realizing that Draco is that much of a jerk. Like even to his own friend. It's not just like, oh, he's this way arrogant towards us because we're on the other side of the fence, but he's just always like that. And so like their delay in understanding that, I think, goes right along with Crabbe and Goyle being dumb.
Okay. That kind of ties into my second question is, do you think Malfoy was fooled?
I do. I think he had no reason to suspect that it wasn't them. At least the way that he, reacted to them. Yeah, I mean, I think he was maybe a little bit weirded out like at first.
Something strange is going on, but then they were fine. So
but I think they played it off well enough that, stomach ache or whatever, gotta go.
Okay.
I'd be interested to see, like, when they come back, Crabbe and Goyle come back after Harry and Ron let
Right.
them out of the closet or whatever.
And left their shoes.
They
I
left
always
their
wondered, did they
shoes.
leave the shoes?
I think they mentioned that. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested to see that interaction. You feeling better? Yeah.
Well, and
We just
really
woke up in a closet, but I don't know what that was all
right.
about.
Do we feeling better? And they're probably like, maybe their heads hit and maybe they're like, oh yeah, I am feeling better.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think Malfoy was fooled?
I always worry about it. We never, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't say something weird is going, but he's just sly enough that he might not be. And so I always worry about it.
So another big reason why I think he was convinced is because he does bring up the compartment underneath the drawing room floor at Malfoy Manor.
True. And he wouldn't have done that.
And he would not have done that.
True.
Because I do think, and this is maybe jumping ahead, but I do think we find out later on that, yeah, they raided there and found something. Or
I know.
I think that comes up.
And he does.
That it was true information that they got. So I don't know.
All right, next question. Where will Mr. Weasley get the 50 galleons to pay the fine because of the flying car?
Oh, right.
Like, I feel bad. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. And, well, yeah, I mean, we've talked about how one of the only big item price points that we have in the story is Harry's wand.
Right.
Like, that's the only large, just supply type thing that we have an actual number on.
Right.
Because we've got, like, the 7 sickles an ounce for dragon's blood or whatever it was. Like, little things like that it's...
But nothing like
this. Like, that's why I think the wand is the only thing. But I think we also talked about how maybe Ollivander gave Harry a big super deal on that. Like, maybe he really, really undercut the price because he knew.
Maybe not.
I thought we talked about this.
I don't remember this conversation.
I thought we did.
You may have had it with somebody else. Or I may have forgotten. Either way.
Yeah, but...
I don't remember.
So I think the only number we have, I think, could be in flux as to how true it is for a wand. I think it was actually earlier this book because we were wondering how much it would cost to replace Ron's wand.
There you go.
And so at that point we're saying, well, 7 galleons, that's not that much. I mean, like it's a lot, but it's not a ton.
Right.
50, and maybe, so that's my point is maybe 50 galleons really isn't, like, it's a healthy fine, but it's not
is it like
overly ridiculous. It's like a $200 ticket. Like, it's a lot, but
it's a lot.
It's not going to sink you.
But it might for a family like the Weasleys. That's where my question is
I know. And
from.
I was working my way towards that.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's the same thing we have earlier in this book when we go to their vault and they don't have like any money in there, but maybe it just wasn't payday, like it's
right.
Maybe that was just,
maybe they live paycheck to paycheck or pay bag of money to pay bag of money.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever it looks like. Yeah. Okay.
All right. I don't know. Hopefully it's not going to sink them.
All right. Next question. What color would Luke Polyjuice Potion be?
Gold, like mead. I don't know. I don't know what color my Polyjuice Potion would be.
Well, you're not very interesting or creative, which is completely different than what you said earlier. Burn. I know.
Yeah, I don't know. Because all three of theirs were like sludge colored, right? Did the color change, or was it...
Yeah, like they were all different looking. Well, I don't remember what Hermione's looked like. So, Goyle's turned the khaki color of a booger. Crabbe's was a dark, murky brown. And then for Millicent Bulstrode...
A sick sort of yellow.
Really, that ended up being the cat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they are all different colors. Well, while you're waiting, I'm going to tell you mine.
Yeah, go for it.
I would like mine to be like a dark purple with a little bit of sparkle in it, but with thick streaks of dark black. Probably about right. Every once in a while there's a little sparkle, but mostly it's the dark black, like evil sarcasm streaking through.
Yeah.
This is my plan.
Okay.
Now watch, it would end up turning like orange or something that I hate. But purple sparkles with dark black, like void colored streaks.
Yeah, I don't know. I like this. I like the black streaks. I mean, yeah, our podcast is named after the most evil character in the book, so... Well,
and then, like, just in general, I've been looking, just funny t-shirts and stuff, and there's, a lot of them were like, for Disney, and it's like, oh, I'm 99% sure I'm a princess. No, mine would say I'm 99% sure I'm a villain.
Yeah.
Not all.
Maleficent.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, she's a good villain.
Her and Ursula are kind of my two favorite Disney characters ever, and Tinkerbell, who is a good guy and so mean.
She's got some
snarky.
She's got some dark streaks.
Telling
for sure.
you, this is where I go. So yeah, like there's some sparkle laced with huge void, black, dark.
I'll go I'll go with like a royal blue with silver and black streaks.
There you go.
Mixed together.
Yes, there's definitely some black in you too.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna. They'll be parallel streaks with like black streaks outlined in silver.
There you go.
Who's that?
There you go. Yes. Right. And my last question: what animal would be the worst to be accidentally polyjuiced into? Let me rephrase. Let's make it a mammal. Let's assume that it's a hare. So okay. I'll narrow it down.
Yeah, no, that narrows it down quite a bit. It actually changes both of my answers. So
it was going to change mine too. So I'm going to rephrase.
Well, we know that the potion's not designed to do that, so I think any of them are terrible. It would not be very fun to be turned into. Well, are we trying to do it secretly along with these three?
Sure, let's be secretly.
Being turned into an elephant would be bad. You're not going to secretly be able to get through the school.
No, you're not.
So that's my kind of silly answer on that one. What do you got?
I think a platypus would be a terrible mammal to be turned into.
Because no one would know what you were turned into. There's so many different parts to a platypus.
Well, I mean, if you think about most mammals have some version of nose, mouth, eyes. A platypus has a beak. Mm-hmm. So it's the only mammal that does. And it's one of the few like egg-laying mammals too. Like there's all kinds of things that could go wrong.
It's the Galapagos Islands of mammals.
That is true.
Yeah.
And I think that would be really bad.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm going with platypus.
Okay. So let's get into our chapter superlatives. Melissa, what was your favorite line?
You don't know how bizarre it is to see Goyle thinking.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't.
Right.
Like, I imagine like the contortion on the face and how different it must look with like the thought, like the head crinkle in the eyes kind of moving like, something you've never seen before. It was very funny.
That's definitely funny.
It was a very funny line.
So my favorite line kind of goes right along with that. And I think it was Draco. He goes, "If you were any slower, you'd be going backwards."
True. That's very good.
Again, this is just a good chapter for Crabbe and Goyle bashing.
True. We don't get a lot of those because we don't usually get a lot of...
They don't do anything. Like, they're just there.
They're lumps.
That's it. They crack their knuckles in the background.
Ooh,
that's about it.
So spooky and scary. Not at all.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into our chapter MVPs. My chapter MVP, I'm tempted to change. But I think I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go with Malfoy.
Okay.
He doesn't get them very often because most of the time he's just an annoying little twerp.
He was pretty funny this chapter.
He was very funny this chapter. And really, I like that his burns were not at Harry and Ron, that he was definitely like giving it to Percy and giving it to Crabbe and Goyle. Mm-hmm. And he divulged excellent information. So thank you for being helpful.
Yeah.
We found out that there's the drawing room secret floor. We found out that he is not the heir of Slytherin. Definitively, we found out somebody died the last time it was open. So there was definitely some good information gathering from Malfoy.
Definitely. I think that's a good pick.
Yep.
So my honorable mention is actually Goyle, Harry as Goyle. Uh-huh. So it's kind of against what we do of trying to pick Harry, but
technically it's Goyle.
His version of Goyle, I think, was very good. I know because Ron kind of loses his cool at one point, and he's able to kind of smooth that over when they're talking to Malfoy and kind of make it all work.
He was very on point playing somebody else.
Yes, and keeping Ron's head in the game.
Yes.
It was
I'm with you.
Very well done.
Okay.
Hey guys, Luke here. I have another Audible recommendation for you. You should check out Blackfall by my good friend Andrew Main. Get it free by starting your free 30-day trial today using our Audible affiliate link at www.thepodcastthat.com/supportus. Use that link, download Blackfall, a Jessica Blackwood novel by Andrew Main today, and always stay imaginary.
Wraps it up for today. Questions, comments, your version of the story written from the point of view of the twins. Please email us at thepodcast@gmail.com. You can send us any of your fanfic that we're requesting. I would be very interested to read it and talk about it. Feel free to tweet at us at Not Named Podcast. You can go to our website where all of these episodes are available to comment. We would love to hear your thoughts on each episode. Just go to thepodcastthat.com, find this episode, and you can comment underneath. At our website, you can also find our family of podcasts, which currently include The Podcast That Drinks and Knows Things, a non-family friendly episode by episode rewatch, or watch of the most recent season of Game of Thrones, as well as a soon to be delivered recap of the earlier episodes leading all the way up to season 8, whenever that shows up. Starting in January, we will be having The Podcast That Floats Down Here, where Luke and I and our brother Ben reread for me and read for the first time for Luke Stephen King's It. Join us for that.
Subscribe and rate us on iTunes. Leave a comment there. It really does help the iTunes algorithm, help us get found by more listeners. Leave us a comment on YouTube. All of our podcast episodes are available there as well.
Join us next week as we discuss Chapter 13.
The Very Secret Diary. Stay imaginary.
Thanks.